Charlie.
And this is Ethan.
And today we'll be kicking off the Tournament of Flags, a massive competition where we'll determine the best and worst flags in the world.
We will determine the 5 best and the 5 worst flags in each continent and face them off against each other in the finales. In continents with an abundance of flags, we will split them up country by country. The rankings will be decided by a group of people who will vote on the flags based off of how visually appealing they are and how much they invoke symbolism. The rankings will be averaged, and the top 5 contenders will move to the finale.
Today we'll be starting with introducing the flags of Antarctica. In part 2, we will debate the flags and then reveal the winners. We found an exhaustive list of 32 flags representing various places and things on the continent. The only flags we left out were proposals circulating on Reddit, blurry Micronational Flags, and some flag from a video game. Well, we have a lot of flags to introduce, so let's get started. Probably the most legitimate flag in Antarctica is the Antarctic Treaty Flag, which represents the agreement made between a group of world powers to keep Antarctica from colonization. The flag shows lines of latitude and longitude converging on the South Pole. However, the treaty signer said that this flag only represents the treaty and not the continent.
Several flag designs had been made to unofficially represent the continent. The earliest of these was the Whitney Smith design, which uses a bright orange background to stand out in the cold, and has an A to represent Antarctica, and half a circle to represent the southern hemisphere, and human hands showing the humanity protecting the continent. Later, the Cooper and Tucker design was made as an attempt to create a better version of the Whitney Smith design, featuring several recognizable symbols of the continent. Later the same year, Graham Bartram designed a flag to represent Antarctica for an atlas which he was helping create. It uses an outline of the continent on a UN blue background. It has since become one of the most widely used flags for the continent, appearing as the flag in emojis. Dave Hamilton designed a flag to represent the continent for his visual fantasy currency because he felt the other designs were not creative enough. His flag features 3 colored stripes, light blue for ice, yellow for auroras, and dark blue for the Southern Cross in the sky. Later, in 2007, Oliver Leroy created a flag for Antarctica based on the colorization of the Emperor Penguin. Each band is a color that appears on the Emperor Penguin's coat, in accurate proportion. The most recent flag design is the Truth South proposal, which has been being pushed forward as the best flag for Antarctica lately. It has white bands for snow, blue for the sky, and a mountain and a shadow, which together form a south-pointing compass. True South and Graham Bartram are the only designs actually flown on the continent.
Next up are territorial flags. Though holding territory on mainland Antarctica is forbidden, many countries have laid claim to the area anyway. Some even have their own flags. The British created this flag to represent their claim to a portion of the continent known as the British Antarctic Territory. The lion and the penguin coming together represent the British coming to Antarctica, and below is a slogan, research and discovery. The British also have an alternate flag design for the British Antarctic Territory, known as the ensign flag, using a torch in a shield. The British also have a separate flag for the territory's commissioner, featuring the emblem of the territory superimposed on a British flag and surrounded by ivy. The British also have an island territory near Antarctica, which can be considered an Antarctic island, known as South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. Their flag is a similar design to most British territories. Their seal features a penguin and seal, local wildlife on the island with common British symbols between, and a Latin motto below. The flag of the Commissioner is similar to that for the British Antarctic Territory with a seal superimposed on the flag. Before 1999, the islands used a different flag with the seal for the territory inside of a disc. The Commissioner's flag was also different before 1999, having a shield in place of the island's seal. Now on to France. France represents its Antarctic territory, along with its legitimate claims to some Antarctic islands with this flag. It has the French flag in the corner and a blue background with the territory's symbol. The final territorial flag is the Ross Dependency, New Zealand's Antarctic claim. This flag is unofficial, but de facto represents the territory. The white strip on the bottom represents the Ross ice field.
The next group of flags we have is expedition flags. These flags were created and used for historic expeditions to Antarctica. Byrd's second Antarctic expedition had a flag created to represent their expedition, which was flown from the back of their expedition planes. The Scottish National Antarctic Expedition had a flag hand-knitted by the wife of one of the expedition members, which they flew while exploring the Antarctic coast. The Ronnie Antarctic Research Expedition, a private expedition to map Antarctica's coastline, used this flag while they operated in the 1940s. The Imperial Japanese Antarctic Expedition used two variant flags to represent their mission, a yellow design and a red design. Both of these flags were used on the expedition, and they also represented the brief Japanese claim to the continent. Finally, the Transglobe Expedition, a venture that circumnavigated the globe along the Prime Meridian. They used this flag, which has the route of the expedition overlaid on a Union Jack. Another flag that we found is the Antarctic Vexillological Association flag. The Antarctic Vexillological Association flag is a group dedicated to exploring Antarctic flags.
Our last group of flags are micronational flags. If you don't know what a micronation is, there is a link in the description to the Wikipedia page. Our first of these flags is the Federated States of Antarctica flag, which represents a micronation claiming all of Antarctica and is also sometimes used to represent the whole continent. The Antarctic Micronational Union flag is similar to the Graham-Bartram design and represents an alliance of micronations in Antarctica, using olive branches as an allegory of peaceful cooperation. One of the major members of the AMU, Flandrensis, has its own flag, which was clearly inspired by its European origins. Another major micronation claiming land in Antarctica, West Arctica, has a flag similar to a Scandinavian one with a monarchical crown in the corner. ASEA, another micronation, has an ocean-inspired flag. Some micronations based in other countries have claimed colonies in Antarctica. Only one currently has its own flag, the Protectorate of Vega, which is claimed by Vilthia. The flag is the Vilthian flag with variations in coloring. A newer micronation, the United Republics of Antarctica, has this flag representing their claim to a large portion of the continent. Some micronations no longer lay claim to Antarctica. One of these, the Empire of Agbar, gave up its claim to Antarctica in favor of West Arctica. Its claimed territory, the Mary Bird Protectorate, had this flag. Finally, our last flag belongs to the Principality of Arkell, a micronation that claimed a small island off of Antarctica and ceased to exist in 2016. Join us next time, where we will reveal the rankings for these flags that we've introduced today.
Also, in part of the next video, we will have an unscripted debate where we talk about the differences in the flags and our personal opinions on which ones we liked and which ones we disliked.